Be like, when are you going to get married? See your mates. So some of the age mates have died too. Did they die? Good. If you're telling me that I'm with a weary, it's also saying something about me. Are you in a relationship? I was so scared that you were going to say, should I confront the babe? No, the babe is not your problem. Somebody's lying here. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I don't know, I need to stop doing this thing where I pantomime, okay? Every time I say hey guys, but hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be chatting. I love these, okay? I love chatting with you guys. Like every single time I do a Q&A, to the point where I've started dodging these questions, I get them. Okay, today I'm like, okay, let me dedicate another video to it. And to be honest, the reason why I don't talk about this as much is because I think back in 2017 or 2018, I dedicated an entire video to this, okay? But then again, the truth is that like life is new every morning. I get new subscribers every day, and some of you have not been following me for that long. And I have a lot of young women who actually just want me to talk about these things because they have seen me talk about other things that they are interested in. So we're going to do it. But then I think that after this video, I'm going to give myself a time out. I don't think I want to touch this topic for a very, very long time. Okay? But I'm really excited because these type of videos, I feel like we're all in a room talking. You guys have said something to me and I'm saying something back. So let's get into it, okay? Let's just get into it. Before we start, however, I want to say a very big thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. Is something interfering with your happiness? Is something preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical like mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or you're just a regular human being and you're having a hard time, therapy will give you the tools that will just equip you and help you approach your life in a very different way. That's why I'm very excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more accessible being a very key word here, and more affordable. And this is very, very important because finding a therapist can be very, very tricky, okay? And aside like it being a location issue, therapy is something that still has a lot of stigma attached to it, different parts of the world. I don't know why. Mental health is a real thing, right? But sometimes people like react whenever you say you're trying to see someone or talk to someone or just find someone to help you work certain things out. They look at you as if you have a big issue, or it is something that is like very, very, I don't know, there's stigma attached to it depending on where you live. And the reason why BetterHelp is so important is that it just makes therapy more accessible. It is 100% online. To start, all you have to do is to go to www.betterhelp.com/dimma, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp will match you to a licensed therapist in just a few days. All you need to do is to just answer a bunch of questions that you'll be asked at sign up, and this will help BetterHelp understand where you're at. You just fill in certain things, even like gender, religion, a couple of things, actually a few questions that are very, very important. And once BetterHelp has these answers, it will match you to a therapist that they believe or they understand to be the perfect fit for you. It's very easy to get matched. All you have to do is use the link that I have on the screen right now, or just go to my description box and click the link that is right on top. It will take you straight to the BetterHelp website. Clicking on the link in the description box helps support this channel, but it also gives you 10% off your first month on BetterHelp so that you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. And like I've said in the past, therapy is a little bit like dating, and there's a possibility that you might not click with the first therapist that you're matched with. I've told my own story of how this was the case for me. Cultural differences, I would say. There's so many reasons why you might not click with your therapist. BetterHelp makes it very easy for you to switch to another therapist at no additional cost. You don't have to worry about insurance, who is in your network, or things like that. You just go to your profile and you see the option there to just switch and select another therapist. It's easy peasy. If you've been following me at least for the past 2-3 years, you know some of the issues that I have had physically, which led to me struggling mentally, and BetterHelp was a lifeline for me during that period. I would highly recommend it. It will help you if you're looking for someone to talk to, and if your issues are not even that serious or as serious as mine, where if you're not depressed, if you're not dealing with anxiety, if you're just looking for better ways, because a lot of us are just carrying trauma around not in a backpack. It affects the way we even relate to other people. If you're just trying to better yourself, navigate life better, I would highly recommend BetterHelp. So if you're struggling and you want to consider therapy, please use the link in the description box. It's going to be www.betterhelp.com/Dimma. Thank you again, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today's video. I've opened this question box and the first question here is, when are you getting married? Okay, if we multiply it, it is plenty. Even in that 2017 video or so, this was the recurring theme, and this is also the reason why I've said that I would not be touching this in a very, very long time. But do you know what? I'm not going to start this Q&A with it. What I'm also going to do is, if there are questions that are repeated multiple times, right, I will kind of answer them once, okay, just to make everything easy. I also do not want to answer more than 20 questions maximum in this Q&A, just to save all of us time and stress and data if possible. So let's just get into it. The first thing here, or let me just say, the first question that I think is answerable here is, how would you know that someone is the one? And to be honest, I was looking through these questions last night and I got so many versions of this particular question. And guys, I just think that I really don't know. For different people, it is different things. It also depends on where you're coming from. And it's also one of those questions that are very subjective, I would say. But then the thing is, I think that the amount of peace you feel within the bounds of that relationship is a very good indicator as to whether the person is the one or not. If you find that you're not as on guard as you normally would be, or as you have been in previous relationships, that's a very good thing. I remember at a point, it just dawned on me that it was almost as if I was just sometimes when you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, but then somebody's not giving you reasons. Sometimes you also carry nonsense from the past and come into certain things. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that even in some cases, some people will say that when it feels so good to the point that it's almost alien, it feels so good that some things that you're used to expecting is absent. And I've seen women in certain situations even begin to look for a way to create those things, because the absence of it feels like something is missing. But then the amount of peace you actually feel, I think that it is a very, very good indicator. Someone who goes out of their way to assure you, you feel very, very secure, you feel loved. I think peace, how comfortable, how at ease. Aside the peace is also how at ease you are. I'm saying at ease because you guys know, when we're matching in primary and secondary school, there's attention. When you're attention, you're upright, you're waiting for the next command. But when you're at ease, you're really at ease, right? If you're constantly on attention, I don't know, man. I don't think that is a sustainable thing to feel all the time. Do you understand? So if you find that you're very, very at ease and you're comfortably at ease as well, and most of the time this is also not something that happens in a vacuum, the person who you're with plays a very, very large role in the way that how you end up feeling. I think the ease, security, assurance, feeling very seen, feeling very heard, these things are always present when it's the one. I can't say that it's everything that needs to be. Some more things might need to be present aside these things, but these ones are always there. And if you're starting off and they're not even there at all, I think that it might be a problem, So the next one is asking how to tell your friend that her man is not good for her and she deserves better. I'm a very big advocate of minding my business in a lot of situations, because you also don't want to be the person that they use to make peace. Even with my parents, they can be racking like this. You go and put mouths and think that you're doing something good there. It is you that they will use and patch up. My thing, however, here is, I think that, not all the cases shall, but I think that most times when somebody has a guy or someone is with somebody who is moving mad, they know. Whether they decide to ignore some of the things and make excuses for them, that's besides the point, but then they know. Because me, for example, when I've seen somebody doing something that is a bit sketchy, I never start out the conversation in a way that implies that they don't know what they are doing, right? Or that they are getting played, or da. Honestly, if you're going to even bring something like this at all, you have to make sure that you bring up all the ways that you see and acknowledge them, and you understand where they are, and then just maybe asking very, very small questions that within the bounds of your advice or whatever it is you're trying to point out, that you're telling them that you love them, no matter what. It's important because people also don't know how personal relationships are sometimes, especially when you're as an outsider giving relationship advice, right? To a lot of women, for reasons that I don't want to get into, when you're calling out a partner's bad behavior or something that they are doing wrong, you might think that you're pointing out what this whole independent person is doing. What a lot of people fail to realize most of the time is that women in a lot of cases tend to consider their partners a direct reflection of themselves, whether you like it or not. And let me explain, because some of you might be like, if you're telling me that I'm with a were, like you're pointing out consistently that I am with somebody who is a were, right? It's also saying something about me, because why am I comfortably with a were? So women will immediately, a lot of people would jump into getting defensive, and you might even think, oh, why are you trying to die on this matter? More than they're actually arguing on his behalf, they're also trying to defend their own choice or the choices that they're currently making. So my thing is, if you're going to get into it and talk about it in any way, it's one of those things that it has to be saturated with love. The way you're passing across the information that you need to pass across, it is very, very important. Because if you also come at it with you're accusing and accusing and accusing and accusing and accusing, sometimes it's also things that they themselves have seen and they've tabled it to these guys and they've given them their own explanation that might not even make any sense. And you might be getting a lot of replies like, you don't understand, he has explained it to me. Do you get? So the thing is, stick to the facts as well when you're talking. Like, be very, very consistent. Like I said, use love, but then you also have to fixate on things that are actually factual, right? They did this. Like, even if he has explained and said this and you no longer feel a certain type of way, the fact still remains that this has happened and it might repeat itself. It's very important that you communicate this like that. I just hope that answer was helpful, because it's also not one of those black and white things I can say, oh, you have to do it like this. It also depends on the type of person your friend is. So just be very, very careful with the way you communicate what you're trying to communicate. I'm also not going to tell you that you should ignore a bad thing as it is happening, right? Because you also don't want to be the person who regrets not saying something at the thick of it. Do you get? Someone is here asking, what is the longest you have been in a relationship, and do you also go clubbing? This is a very interesting question. Okay, so first of all, I would say that I have actually not been in a relationship that lasted more than 2 years. This one is the longest. The thing is, I smell bullshit, I run. That's how you tend to go most of the time. So yeah, I say that the longest for me is actually the one that I am currently in at the moment, to be honest, in all honesty. And do you go clubbing? I don't know what this has to do with relationships, but because it came with this question, the answer is I do, but it's also not my favorite activity. I'm not someone who wants to be in the club every Friday, and this has been me since my early 20s. And the truth is that I am that person who is in the club yawning, and it tends to annoy the people I have gone clubbing with, because why are you in the club yawning? Once it's knocked 10, I'm sorry, I am yawning. And the thing about it is that I feel like that whole environment is not mentally stimulating for me. To me now, if you're telling me go clubbing, I do a lot of mental mathematics before I decide if I want to do or not. And some people really love it, and this is not anything on them. Do you understand? Me, I am just saying that it's too loud a lot of the time for me. I get sleepy. It's like dance, sometimes sit down. Sometimes in Lagos clubs, you're not even dancing, you're kind of sitting in a corner forming, and then you drink, repeat, nod your head, stand a while, sit down, drink, repeat. In the club, I'm either yawning or someone is legit sitting with me, or I am with somebody who I'm having a conversation with. It is very, very important to keep me awake. I have tried my best, guys. It's just not my favorite activity. Okay, so this person here is asking me, what are my thoughts on dating multiple people? So everybody's definition of dating is very, very, I don't know, I've had people describe dating as different things. For some people, it's kind of talking stage. It's something that you're just trying to get to know and trying to see who you fit with, but there's no commitment. For some people, dating is proper, you people are committed. The thing is, once there's some sort of commitment to me and somebody has asked, oh, can you be my girlfriend, or whatever word term people have used, at that point there is no multiples. Again, it's either you're committed or you're not. I feel like commitment, after it has been requested and you accept, there should be no multiples. Do you understand? Someone is here saying, what would you say are your top fears about marriage? The one that I would say here is that I think that sometimes, especially when I have had conversations with older women, and sometimes even when I'm talking about certain things with my aunties or just much older women, I think that one thing that they say sometimes that every time I hear it, it's just how the heck is you dating date someone for so long and then you get married to this person and you feel like you know the best. And to be honest, people keep evolving and keep growing. But then as time goes on, this person evolves and turns into someone that is so completely different from the person you actually decided in the first place to have anything to do with. That scares me. I understand like growing interests, evolving, gravitating towards different things in terms of hobbies, in terms of even things that you like, food, activities, like the type of art you like to consume. People evolve. But then there are things that are so fundamental. And then let us say that they are the core of a person. And those core attributes or traits are some of the things that help us like make decisions at the beginning, right? And then you hear stories of how you get married and this person becomes so far from that thing. I find that type of thing to be very, very scary. To be honest, I find it to be scary. So this person says, I'm going through serious marriage pressure from home. And in as much as I try to act like I'm not bothered, deep down it's draining because honestly, 95% of my friends are married. I just got back to the country and my parents want to choke me with marriage talk. I've literally said I'd stop visiting or calling my family. Okay, this is not the first time that I'm hearing things like this. I'm going to repeat something I think I have said a lot within the conversations I have had with a lot of people my age this year, and it is that I have not seen a generation that is more susceptible to peer pressure like the generation that a lot of us millennials and Gen Zs, like our parents, belong in. They tend most of the time to put a lot of pressure based on the pressure that they feel that they are under from people within their social group. It's a standard thing. It's from the banter, it's from the talk when they go out and how they say, oh, you're next, you're the one who has not called us, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's a constant thing. So most of the time, I think that you think about things like that and you cut them some slack. And a lot of them do not know how to, I have found people like in our generation not to give two flying what people care. Like they can say things and even quote the Bible and say, don't follow this or don't do this. If your friend jumps over under the bridge, what do they say? Will you jump off the bridge too? A lot of them, you see them using ladder to climb down the bridge if their own friends, they do it. Do you understand? What I'm going to say to you is that this is not news to me. It is something that I'm not going to say I'm very, very well familiar with, but I am familiar with it to an extent. And even if it's not your immediate parents, it is extended family members. People will say all sorts. Like the last time I went back to the village or I had anything, it is the same, like, oh, when are you going to call us? Oh, wait. Like it's a constant thing. And sometimes for people who are lucky enough, it's all these surface statements that you get. For people who are not very lucky, it is calling emergency meeting on your head and them sometimes implying that something is inherently wrong with you and that is the reason why you've not been able to attract a partner. And none of these things are true. So what I would say is if you feel like creating a level of, I'm not going to say cut them off completely, to be honest, because I feel like in their own upside down way, they love you. Not even upside down way, they love you. They are just trying to give themselves what they want, but then also in their own way trying to ensure that you get what they believe you want or what they wanted so much and so desperately at your own age. And they cannot understand that you're of a certain age and this is not giving you sleepless nights. Right? So with immediate family, what I also always say is sometimes actually call them out on it. A lot of them do not expect you to call them out on it. So what I started doing at a point where, because not immediate family, so where some extended family members would say stuff, I'll be like, I've talked about crying here before and some of you were laughing. There was somebody that tried to do that. I said, do you think I don't want it for myself? This thing that you're saying here that, give them a good cry. After everything, they'll tell you sorry, you pack your bag and go. Do you understand? Because do you actually think I do not want these things for myself? And sometimes in as much as we be like, okay, we are at peace. We don't have it now. We are at peace, but we're completely at peace. But then again, a lot of them also kind of confuse us being at peace with the fact that we've not found it yet, but we believe it is coming with you not wanting it at all. So I would ask you, look you in the eyeballs and ask you, do you think that I do not want these things for myself as well? So I say, please, yes, whatever praying you're doing, times it by the power, I appreciate it so much. By the power 10, I'll encourage you to pray hard. Maybe it's from me that my husband will come. I don't know. But what you're not going to do is try to let it get to you to the point where it starts affecting you. Because a lot of people just come and throw passive statements and they go and sleep like a baby. You're the one who is not sleeping. Do you get? That's one. If you feel like creating distance will help you, do that. Maybe don't go back as much. If you're somebody who goes every December or every time there's a family gathering and you're subjected to this, then begin to disappear once in a while. So if there's a family gathering, 1, 2, 3 goes, you're supposed to show, you don't show. They call you, I'm like, where are you? I'd be like, so like people come and start disturbing me. They want you more than they want to disturb you. These things I'm giving people is formula. I don't know why you're laughing. I'm actually being serious, okay? This is a formula. So don't show up 1, 2, 3, and then if you just, I'll be like, the last time I came, I left. I was not happy because you people were making me look like this, a failure. Speak English, like I say, shake your voice small, put some tears into it. They will know that if they want you at a certain place, then they'll have to control their mouth to a certain degree. That helps. For the ones that are not in any way, that don't even know the last time you had malaria, don't know if you're even surviving. Those random ones that are so random and they say things in a way that is so passive aggressive. My advice here is to ask them. Or be like, oh, when are you going to get married? Especially the ones that are not even, they don't start with a how are you? How is work? Be like, when are you going to get married? See your mate. So it's comparative, it is degrading, it is condescending the way they say it. Immediately, I advise you to ask them when they are going to die. So your mates are dying. If somebody tells me that your mate is somebody, actually a much older person, who, like I said, does not even know you from Adam, is asking you, oh, when are you going to, your age mates are all getting married. Some of their age mates have died too. Did they die? Good. If they say, oh, they're not going to die because those age mates died, or it was already, nobody's even engaging you after that statement, okay? Ask them why. If you're not on the same timetable with people that are dead, why am I on the same timetable with people who are not me? Do you understand? I think that a lot of them say things that they're very, very used to repeating things as they hear it, and they actually do not know the amount of weight it carries. So what I'm very good at is asking you key questions or saying things that just kind of throw you off. But I'm not saying stop talking to them, but if you need the distance to give you sanity, if you also need to dodge some calls, be like, I've been calling you since you've not answered my call. Yeah, because the last time I talked to you, I did not eat for 2 days because I was crying. You made me feel like that. Try it. Okay, so this question is very small, so I just have to, move this close to actually read. Sorry, I want to remain anonymous. What should a lady do when she finds out that her guy begins to give half-truth claims to another girl that he's single and talk about orgasm, waiting for her to visit his place? Like, is it wise to confront him or walk away? This is a guy that says cheating is his deal breaker. Are you in a relationship? I was so scared with the last paragraph that you were going to say, should I confront the babe? No, the babe is not your problem. Somebody's lying here. And he's saying that cheating is a deal breaker. If you're going to confront this type of person, also make sure that you have your facts backed up. Like you have it and you're saying you, by 9:15 p.m. did XYZ to this. Because if the person is a spinner and the kind of person who will even make you begin to now ask yourself, like, was I dreaming when I don't understand, like, was I wrong to accuse him? No, but like if you have concrete proof that somebody's lying, talking to other babes, talking about orgasms, confront it though with your facts. If you know you have facts, there's no point. Cheating is, like he said, is a deal breaker. It is a deal breaker, not just to him, it should be to you as well. So call it out. Someone is saying, I'm not excited about getting married. It scares me a lot. Am I normal? I think I'll be a bit worried about this question if, let us say, you're actually in the process of getting married to somebody, but then you're not excited about it. Then I'll be like, why do you feel like that? But then let us say that you're just in general, like not excited about marriage in theory. To be honest here, I feel like I remember in the beginning, like when me and my partner started dating and he was asking me some of all these questions. Oh, which kind of this one do you like? Oh, this one. Like I remember like at a point he was like, oh, what type of wedding dress? Or he will ask me questions about rings and I'm like, I don't know. And the truth is because I have never sat down and started thinking about all these things, right? There are a lot of women like me who actually do not think about these things unless you get into a position or you're with someone who actually makes you want to think about those things. So in theory, let us say if you do not have anybody who has like even like, I don't know, like there's no reason for it to be thinking about those things, then it's fair enough, to be honest. For some women it will change when the right person comes along. Do you understand? And there are people who, man or no man, I know that these are things that they care really, really seriously about. Like ever since like forever, they know what their wedding venue is. They know what type of wedding dress they would want and all of that. Do you understand? I think that if it's just in theory, then that's fine. I think in most cases, it changes when you get into a relationship and you begin to think about all those things. But then if you're in a relationship and you're not even excited, then I'm like, why? So a lot of people here are asking me what are my thoughts on long distance relationships and all of that. It's like, how do you navigate it? How does it work and all of that? For me, a lot of the long distance relationships that I have seen, the ones that have worked out, I think that money is a very big factor. And some of you be like, oh, Dimma, money care. I'm actually being serious because I think that the ability to see each other often it plays a very, very huge role in just the longevity and how things play out. Because I even have a friend who had been in a long distance relationship, got married, they got divorced shortly after they get married. It's because I feel like the minute they start living together, you start seeing certain aspects of the person that you never saw, especially if you did not see this during the period of like your dating and courtship and all of that. So I'd say being able to see each other physically, living or sharing a space for at least 2 to 3 weeks at a stretch, I think that is very, very important, honestly, because you need to know. There's certain things that you need to know. You need to know if the person even flushes the toilet after they use it. Like, they're very, very small things that when you people are all in love and you're talking about all these things, they might look like they don't matter, but they are very, very serious, and they can make you so irritated. So irritated. So I'd say money is important, being able to see each other often. I'm also not going to say that, oh, when you people are not able to see each other often, that means that the relationship is going to fail. I just think that in a lot of cases, like constant communication, being accessible to each other, especially if there's a time difference, making out time or carving out time where you spend at least 2 weeks with each other at a stretch, I think that these things really help. Okay, guys, I've had to turn the AC on. My AC here is a bit loud, and I'm just hoping that it's not affecting things much. Okay, a lot of people here asking me how I navigated singlehood in my 20s, and the truth is I was fine. Like, I feel like I've answered these questions so many times, or different versions of it. A lot of my friends got married, or a lot of people that I know got married, from some of them even early 20s to mid 20s. I did not even start thinking about the possibility of settling down or having a partner or having a significant other, maybe up until I was 29, thereabouts. And it's not even out of desperation. I feel like that was when, for the first time, I actually felt mentally ready, right? To feel like, okay, I won't actually mind it if I had somebody in my life right now. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that I've talked about this before, about how when some of my friends were getting married, like, I was looking at them with so much fascination, because I feel like I was battling demons, witches and wizards, like, not even to joke. Like, there was so much that I was dealing with on a personal level that I know that the last thing I had time for was another whole human being who would require my attention in a particular way. And this is the case for a lot of people that I know. However, society kind of makes you think that feeling like that, if you feel like that, there's something fundamentally wrong with you. I just did not feel ready around that time, okay? And as a result, I was more interested in a lot of things. I wanted to live alone. I wanted to travel. There were so many things that I wanted to explore, and I was very, very deliberate about actually actively seeking those things. But it wasn't something I'd say that I put serious effort into navigating. And to be honest, I've also talked about how, like, the first time that I even met my partner, like, I was 27. And he cracks jokes now about how if I had just behaved small, we'll probably be married for 10 years now. Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense. Not 10 years, maybe 5 years or something, like, counting it, right? They'll be like, would have been married for a very long time. But the thing about it is that it's also that thing of me, like, there are certain aspects of relationship that actually require patience and require maturity. And I was not there. And it's okay for some women to admit that 26, 27, you are not there. There's nothing wrong with you. For some women are actually, like, as young as they are, these are the type of things that they want. So for me, it was not something that bothered me. And I also was not somebody who would really, really get lonely, because I know that loneliness plays a very, very huge role in the way these kind of questions come up sometimes, right? For me, I wasn't lonely. I was not in any way feeling lonely. Like, I technically moved to Lagos when I was 26, and I come from a family of like 7 children, right? There was always people. When I say there were always people about, there were always people about. So I loved it so much, the fact that I had my own space and I could put something in the fridge and somebody did not eat it. You know, all these small things, like, I was really, really enjoying it. And I wasn't actively thinking about, like, entering a situation again where I'll be looking for something in the fridge, that kind of thing. So what I'm trying to explain is that it just depends on where you are. So for me, because they're asking me how did I navigate it, it wasn't something I felt like I had to navigate. I really, really enjoyed it, to be honest. I really did. So it's just like what it is, you know. Someone here is asking me how do I let go of someone. I think a very good motivator would be thinking of the best version of yourself. Thinking of a version of yourself who is partnered with someone who does not give you or cause you the amount of pain or have the same qualities that are a disadvantage for you, right? Or you just don't like, right? Thinking of a version of yourself who is actually partnered with someone who does not embody all those negative traits that obviously you're tired of or you're trying to distance yourself from. I feel like it's with anything, and even in friendships, but when you're dealing with narcissists and a bunch of things, think of a version of yourself who actually has a relationship that is more healthy and more fulfilling than what you have now. Think of that version of yourself and believe that it is attainable. I think that the thing that keeps us trapped in situations sometimes is just fear of us thinking that where we are is our final bus stop, and it really does not get better than that. It could, right? Especially if the person has given you reasons to let go, right? Because if you keep opening the window, they will keep on coming back and doing that same thing that you do not like. And it's a cycle that you can get stuck in. A lot of people here are also asking me about my thoughts on premarital sex. To be honest, like, let me not talk too much, because this is also one of those things that I hardly ever talk about on this channel. And the thing is, what type of relationship are you trying to build? Do you want it to be God-centered? If you want it to be God-centered, you know what is a sin and what isn't a sin. Do you understand? There's this conversation I remember, like, I think I was having with somebody recently, and we were talking about how everybody's anointing is so different, of how people who you know can do something and it's like a walk in the park for them, and they go to church, and sometimes, like, if you're a Catholic, for example, like, you just receive Holy Communion, it's like they've not even done anything, and for you, your conscience is so weighed down because you know that you've committed a very obvious sin. The thing is, let peace be your guide. That's my thing. If you know within your conscience that it is something you're not just outside of even what the church teaches and all of that, you do not feel like it's the right thing to do, then don't do it. Another thing, again, just very quickly, just to say, is that I think that sometimes people feel like relationships are not sustainable without sex, especially relationships that are leading up to marriage. I do not ascribe to that belief. You can have it, still end up getting married. You cannot have it and still end up getting married. The big disadvantage of it is that it can be a very lazy route to conflict resolution. You people don't do the hard talks. You're not very, very aware, because every single time somebody repeats something, you people have an argument, they apologize, people have sex, they apologize, people have sex, and you're not doing the hard, like the work that involves communication and emotional labor. You're legit not doing it because you people have one method of conflict resolution. And when there's permanence now and you're married and you're seeing that those things that were very, very much present at the beginning stage of the relationship, they've just continued. They've not. And it's because maybe at a point where it was very, very crucial that you put a plug to that leak, you didn't, because you were kind of taking the easy way route. So for me, I feel like in certain situations, like, sex can be the easy way route when it comes to certain things. The reason why I don't really like talking about this sometimes is because you also hear of, like, women who end up partnered with homosexual men. This is not me also coming for anybody's sexual orientation or whatever. My thing is that in this part of the world, you see women who are locked in a lot as a result of deceit. Homosexuality is illegal in Nigeria. Like, it's not something that you're allowed to come out and publicly say that you are. And as a result, a lot of people hide that is what they are, and to please family members and do a lot of things, they try to just marry. When you hear some of these women retelling their stories, sometimes they talk about how they didn't know that this is something that the person was into, or even the men sometimes saying that they didn't know that this is what the woman was into. So they were all too happy with, like, celibacy or abstinence during courtship, right? And a lot of the times, like, when you're abstaining or when you're celibate, when you're courting someone, the plan is to, like, once you now are, like, free enough, like, you want it to be something that starts and really goes well, like, you guys are really enjoying each other, and in so many ways making up for time that you could say is lost time, like, you've been looking forward to it, it's anticipation and all of that. So a lot of people kind of, like, that's your mental space, you're like, but then you get into it and you see that it doesn't change anything. The person still does not want to do anything just the way they didn't want to do in the beginning. It can be very, very jarring. The thing I would say is, whether or not you're abstaining, whether or not you're celibate, I think that desire should be there. You as a woman should feel, you as a man too, you can tell when someone is restraining themselves. You know that they really want it. Do you get? I don't that's it. I just don't want to keep on talking, but I think that desire is a key thing, right? So, like, in as much as you're abstaining and you're being celibate, you also should at least be sure that this person actually desires you. It's important. Someone is asking, which is more important, alignment or commonality? This is actually a very good question. I think both. Because having things in common with someone makes conversations easier. It makes jokes easier. It makes I'm sorry you guys. I'm sorry, yeah, I got a text from you guys know. But anyways, it's so important being able to joke and banter and gist with your partner. Like, I think that it's something that I think we don't talk about enough, just how beautiful it can be, right? Alignment is also important in the sense that you can have all those things, but if the person doesn't know where they are going, you just entered like Ubondoshi, like you're just moving in a moving vehicle. Do you understand? So you people should also make sure that your goals align. It can be a bit frustrating sometimes when you feel like your goals align. They kind of want the same things that you want out of the relationship and out of life, but then you guys don't have a lot in common. Then, you know, I kind of get how that can be difficult. So that's why I'm saying I feel like an ideal scenario would be when it is both. But then I think that if it was one or the other, I'd say alignment is more important, to be honest, because I think that people who actually just marry across race, in a lot of cases, they actually do not have a lot in common. They grow and learn each other enough to understand, but then their goals are aligned because they wanted the same thing out of the relationship at a point. I just hope that I actually answered that question well. So someone is, guys, the light is just going yo-yo. This is a late night video. I am sorry. Okay, someone is here asking, is getting married at 22 too young, or should one wait for more life experiences? To be honest, I don't know. It depends on you. My own is that me getting married when I was 22, okay, running joke, because I did not know my left from my right. So I was definitely one of those people who was not ready at that age. But I know people who got married at that age. In as much as I know some of them are my very close friends and they've done a lot of growing and a lot of evolving, and there's been arguments. And sometimes I'm trying to just tell their partners, like, I'm not the same person you married though when you were 22, 23, but some women are ready. I just was not one of those people. Somebody is asking, would you prefer a public or private wedding? I really don't know what a private wedding is within the Nigerian context. I don't think you have any control over how any of that goes, do you? The only way that I feel like Nigerians are able to actually guarantee truly private weddings, if you should go and carry the wedding down and put where everybody's plane ticket is going to be very, very high. That is when the people who are going to stress you, they don't come and you just stay there. But if you're not planning a destination wedding, I really struggle to see how you can make it truly private, especially bro, nah, I don't know. Okay, so someone here is asking or saying, Dimma, I turned 30 and I just got out of a 4-year relationship. I feel so wasted starting afresh. I thought I would be married before 30. Dimma, please advise. I think that some of the things now that I'm saying, or I might say now, like, I even feel a bit somehow about them, because I think that a lot of my answers might be just coming from, because if my mind has already been at a certain point from the beginning, it's easier for me to say certain things. If, let us say, you had hoped that by the time you were 30 you'd be married, and not just that you were hoping in theory, because it's one thing hoping that you'll be married by the time you're 30, but when you were even 26, 27, you were not in a relationship, and you know, that's easier. But then when you were in a relationship just kind of leading up to that, this age, you've kind of promised yourself you do certain things, it can be really tough. But then I also want you to know that 30 is not old. 30 is not too late. A lot of men are marrying women in their 30s. I think that 30 is such a perfect, beautiful age. It's not like you feel old in your body, but you just know that you're mature and wiser, and there are things that you're not going to take, and nobody's going to take you for idiot. You know, all those things. Like, I think leaning into that, I feel like my body even looks better. Like the minute I turned 30, even the way my body looked, you have control over so much, and there's so much life ahead of you. It's just for you to get into a mental place where you actually shift from thinking that you failed at something. And I know that it can be hard, but just try. But 30 is not old at all, and you can do so much. So this last one. So what's your opinion on bride price? I really don't know. Like, it's one of those things that I feel like is part of culture and it holds significance, yeah? But then again, I'm also not going to be stupid and come here and say to you people that I've not heard men, when they are being violent or being insufferable, say things like, besides I paid. Do you understand? I paid money on your head. And this is also the reason why I like certain villages in the southeast. There are some parts of Igbo land that bride price is still a very big deal. It's not really that big of a deal in my area. I even know parts where you have to pay a minimum of 15 naira, a maximum of 15 naira. You're not allowed to pay more than 15 naira. And this prevents you from tomorrow coming to, because if you talk nonsense, they give you back your 15 naira. It's not that big of a deal. So my thing is, I get it because there's so many cultures outside of ours that actually practice this one thing. And in the past, it was just kind of like them in a very physical way trying to compensate your parents for taking something as valuable as you from them. To be honest, I wouldn't miss it it can go. You can still carry your child and give to someone without attaching money to it, so that it just prevents or blocks the way the person comes back to talk to you or to the person at a certain point in time. But it's just like one of those things that I'm not going to say that I do not understand the negative connotations like or implications of it sometimes in a society like ours, right? So guys, final question here is, when will you get married? I really want you guys to understand that marriage does not define you, because there's also a scarcity mentality sometimes where families tell you that, oh, you're chasing after money, or you're chasing after these accolades, or you're trying to establish yourself in some way or the other that does not involve a man. They convince you that when you get all these things, nobody's going to want you. Some men are praying for somebody like you. My thing is, whatever you want to do in this life, the best thing you can ever do for yourself is to live with your own choices. You never want to find yourself in a situation where you are legit regretting something and you feel so bad because you feel like you were pushed into making a particular decision. I have not been married because it has not been time for me to be married. I really want this to not be something that some of you lose sleep over. I'm also privileged to say that the pressure for me has not been as bad as I have known it to be for some people. But the marriage does not define you. Not in 2023. Do you know, Kankorun, do you know the amount of money some babes I know are making in this Lagos from business? That's what you see. If I sleep, I close my eyes. I think of people who I know who have establishments upon establishments, are making money, are able to buy themselves whatever they want. The agency is mad. Do you understand? There's so much more to life. And if you are at a point in your life where it is something that you really, really want, because I feel like sometimes women also now get to a point where, okay, you didn't want it for a certain period of time, but then now you now want it. But then because you were so comfortable without it for a while, there's a level of shame sometimes, and people will be like, oh, I now want. There's no shame in that as well. That is actually what feminism is about. For you to actually, whenever you wake up is your morning, but what we want is to give you the freedom of choice. That is what feminism is all about. So my thing is, if you now wake up at a point in the morning and say, oh, I want to get married, or if you were even born wanting to get married, that is fine. My thing is, it should not define you. In the absence of it, even if you want it desperately, just like there's so many things in this life when we want to be rich so desperately, but we're not rich at a given time, we still know how to make do until we get rich. What we do is put work into getting rich. Think about it like that. And because a man is such an unknown, or a partner is also such an unknown, and it's not even like work where you say that there's a direct correlation between hard work and you making money. A lot of it is left, it's chance and grace and God and luck. Do you get? It's also not something I think is an achievement, because some people who feel that they made certain decisions that have led to the outcome that they have with their current partner, they also do not know how incredibly lucky they are, because a lot of women who have made the type of decisions that they have made ended up with people who have made their lives a living hell just by the virtue of them just evolving into total strangers. If it's something that you genuinely want, pray about it. When I was ready for it, I prayed about it. I was like, God, I'm open now, and these are the type of things that I want. I really do not want to waste my time now that I am ready. Pray about it. But please stop going around the internet asking people when they will get married as well. That is a problem. I don't know why and how some people are so comfortable asking people this. I don't also understand why some of you think that is something that you should shame women about. The one that used to bust my head is when I see people who I know their husband's baby mamas. Sometimes I think that misery also breeds company, because that's why sometimes I feel like women who have some marriages that I do not aspire to at all go around trying to shame women who are not married at all. You also should be aware of some of these things when people try to force or push you into a decision. So I'm going to just end this video by saying this, but I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not yet subscribed. I'll see you guys in my next one, but please, people should leave people alone, live and let live. And if you're really dealing with pressure and it's getting to you and you are depressed, like, there's so many things to be thankful for. You are alive. I see hardworking women who are making money. You're making money. You have autonomy. You can decide on what you want to do or where you want life to carry you. Some women do not even have that privilege anymore. And I'm not saying that marriage is total bondage, because I know that some people are having the time of their lives. But what I want you to know is that there is just so much more to life. And what you want is somebody who will make your life more fulfilling, enrich your life, and not just be partnered so that you can check something off of your list and that people will stop disturbing you. If you go and marry somebody who starts beating you, and I said this in that video that I made in 2017, and somebody begins to scatter your teeth, all those people who came and ate rice and went home, will in one way or the other still blame you for the breakdown of that marriage. They could, irrespective of how much of an asshole the person you're partnered with is. Guys, there's so much more to life. I want you guys to think about making money, and I understand that some people are just not even entrepreneurial. They don't want to make money. They don't want to be independent and all of that. I completely get that. But then even if that is not the case, there's just so much more to life, my babies. Okay? Stop shaming people. Do not let what people say get to you. I know it's easier said than done, but the fact that you're alive is a privilege. 2021, 2022, I had serious health challenges. I was going through, like, I was praying to God. I said, God, please help me so that I could achieve certain things, so that I could see certain things. Some people didn't care. They were still shaming. Like, they'll come and they'll leave comments and they'll say things sometimes. You don't know what people are going through. Just stop it. And this is even aside me. Even people who you know everyday life, who are just where they are minding their business, you just don't see a man around them. The next thing for you should not be trying to get a man next to them. First of all, ask them how they are. Okay? I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. I did not plan to end this with a sermon, but yeah, kisses.